Hello, I'm Kelly and welcome to my Flosstube channel, Animal Instinct. It's the 31st of July 2022 today and I'm back with another stitching update. Thank you so much for stopping by and spending some time with me today. And I've had a few new subscribers since my WIP parade, as often happens. So if you're new here, welcome. I try and do a monthly update. I've been pretty good at sticking to that this year. So today is all about what I've been stitching on in July. Had a really good stitching month. I've had a couple of finishes, a pile of works in progress and a new start, and I've started doing lots of planning too. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with my finish, which I didn't really expect to happen, so it's a nice surprise to me. And I finished Joan Elliott's Time Traveller this month. So the mock-up on the chart is on this lighter fabric, but in my mind it just needed to be on a darker fabric because she's kind of travelling through time. And it's a little bit awkward to show, but put it onto a Q snap. And there we go. So it's on 32 count Belfast linen in Gothic by Picture This Plus. I started it on the 28th of December 2019. I started a lot of things in 2019, so it's nice to finally finish something. So I was about a third of the way into the project coming into 2022. I stitched about 10,000 stitches on it this year, and just in this last week I've spent 4 stitching sessions beading. I think what I'll do, it's really hard to show you any details, but I'll do some close-ups and insert them here. I made a few minor changes to the pattern. So first of all, the stitching of the feather on her cap isn't as charted. It was supposed to be a black sparkly cryonic. Actually just ran out of the cryonic, it's all through her dress. But I also knew that it wasn't going to stand out very well against the dark fabric. So I used white whisper thread instead, which gives it sort of that fluffy effect, and I'm really happy with how that's come out. I did change up her eyes. I've mentioned earlier this year, the eyes were charted in really dark 3371, and I wanted to give them a little bit of colour, so it did take a bit of playing around, but happy with how that's turned out. It's really hard to show just how blingy she is in real life. She's very shiny and sparkly, but it's not really coming through on the camera. I really enjoyed Teresa Little Stitch's beading tutorial on Flosstube. Been quite a while since I'd put any beads into anything, so that just helped me get my head back in the game. I've got all the beads around the clock face, and then, you know, all through her dress, her jewellery. Now can we see that she's got that ornate parasol there full of beads and cryonic. Whoops. I wasn't sure about the colours on the dress, I must admit, when I was stitching them, but happy with the final product. And then if we come over this side, got the sand timer, and then her luggage with the stickers of where she's been. There's this case on top with a beaded locking mechanism, and then we've got the flowers here. I'm not sure if it's coming through on the camera, but certainly looking at it in real life, the red and the yellow flowers for some reason kind of look like they're popping out of the fabric a bit, like almost like they're 3D. I don't know how that works, but it just looks really neat. So really happy with how she's turned out on the dark fabric. Not too many changes required, just worked nicely. I enjoyed the beading, something I hadn't done in quite a few years. And yes, very happy to have Time Traveller finished. I've had another small finish this month. I'm doing the Hygge Stories monthly series by NewLeafCraft. You can't get those patterns anymore. They were on Etsy and the shop's not there anymore. And I'm trying roughly to do one a month. And so they're seasonal patterns. I'm following the Southern Hemisphere seasons. and it's winter at the moment, so I did do the December block, which is Christmas, and that just doesn't make sense to me because Christmas is in summer. But anyway, here is the Christmas block. So you can see the stockings hanging on the wall there behind the of the fireplace, and we've got a big box of Christmas decorations with a wreath and a candy cane and the star. There's a snow globe, and there's some Christmas lights with lots of French knots. So these are small, as you can see, 40 by 40 blocks. But packed full of detail and lots of fun to stitch and watch them come together. I just thought I'd throw in this clip here showing how I deal with complicated patterns in Pattern Keeper. I do like to use Pattern Keeper if I can. These Hygge Stories require not only just the standard sort of full crosses with 2 strands of thread. There might be full crosses with 1 strand of thread. There are blends. There's also half crosses where you're either using 1 or 2 strands of thread, and that can get a bit complicated when you're in Pattern Keeper. So this is the sort of the normal setup in Pattern Keeper. For example, we've got the symbol Z indicating I need DMC 353, and for all of these ones, they're just standard crosses with 2 strands of thread. So then if I scroll down, here, the hash is a blend, 349, 1 strand of 349, 1 strand of 351. So they'll be full crosses as well. And here we get into the half crosses, the half stitches. So if we just look at that top one, the symbol V requires DMC 3855. I need 2 strands, but they're only half crosses. And if we come down to this one, the dash is 223, only 1 strand of DMC, and they're half stitches. So the way I've done this is I've entered it as a blend. The first thread I've used the actual DMC that's required. The second thread I've entered it as a custom thread, so you pick the palette there, and that allows you to put sort of whatever text you want in there. So in here I've indicated 1 strand, half. The diamond there is the same, 223, but it's 2 strands, half. And I found that works really nicely. It takes a little bit of time to set up, but if you like working in Pattern Keeper, I think it's worthwhile, because then you can select the stitches. So I could select this symbol, and it would highlight all of the stitches in that piece requiring that symbol. So yeah, I hope that's handy. I know I'm not the only person who does this, but I don't think I've seen it sort of mentioned on Flosstube before. If you have a pattern like this, it is possible still to use Pattern Keeper to its full effect. So that's my 7th one. I'll just show you. They're not going to be finished on this one piece of fabric, so don't worry, that orientation's a little skew with. But I've got 5 to go, and I would like to finish them this year, hopefully. I have an idea of how I'd like to fully finish them, but I'm not sure if I can pull it off. It's on... I've forgotten. It's Brittney Lugana in Aether by Chromatic Alchemy. I can't remember if it's 28 or 32 count. So they were my finishes. Now coming to works in progress. I've worked on a few things this month. When I filmed my Whip Parade last time, I set aside Mermaid's Folly to work on. So this is Mermaid's Folly by Courtney collection. And I had been struggling a little bit with this project. I think it's my own fault because I started smack bang in the middle of the fabric, and I've kind of been flailing around, not really sure what direction to go in. So I'd had this idea coming into this month anyway that I was going to work my way up to the top border, and then I had thought that I would then work my way to the far left corner. Once I hit the top border, I realised that was a bit of a worry, because if I made a counting error in the corner, it could be a disaster. So when I got to the top, I thought, okay, I'll just stick to this current page that I'm on and just work all the way down to the bottom. And that's what I did. I finally found my groove and I loved working on it. And this is where I got to. So it's on 40 count linen in Murky by Picture This Plus. That is 2.5-ish pages from top to bottom, and there's 7.5 pages across. So I think there's 3.5 this way and 3 that way. So I think next time when I come back to this, I'll probably do the same thing. I might start here and do this column of pages. But it came together, yeah, once I finally found my direction, it was amazing. It just went so quickly. I stitched on it for 6 sessions and I did about 5,000 stitches. It's just in DMC 3371, stitched 1 strand over 2 on the fabric. And yeah, she looked like the detail is really cool. Just a really interesting, different piece. And I really enjoyed working on her and finally finding my rhythm and my direction with this piece. There's currently a man standing on my back fence, pruning a fruit tree. I think it's a fruit tree, some massive tree anyway, looking at me filming. It's quite a little bit off-putting. I'm not used to having a human audience. Anyway, so my next project that I worked on is Firefly by Jey Parks, Gecko Rouge kit. These are based on the characters from the TV show Firefly, but the human characters have been substituted for cats. Right, so I'm not going to take this one out of the Q-snap today. It's a bit of a beast to wrangle, so it's staying in there for now. If you want to see the whole piece, just have a look at my whip parade from my last video, my mid-year whip parade. This is where I'm up to. Let's have a look. I did 4,500 stitches in July, and what I did was started by finishing his sleeve. So this here was already stitched. This is this is the starting point 3.5 years ago where I started the project. It's the center page. But I brought his sleeve down and joined it up, and it's really good because you can't tell that, you know, this part was stitched 3.5 years ago. 3.5? Wow, yes. And this is fresh, so that's really nice that it's come together like that, and no counting error is always a nice thing. You can see a little eye there. So now I've moved on to his waistcoat here. So when I was doing this cat's face, I was working, these are 20 by 20 grid lines. I was doing 20 stitch deep rows. But now I'm just focusing, at the moment, focusing on features. So I finished the sleeve because there are a lot of, you know, light colours in there. And now I'm working on this, this item of clothing here. So I'm really looking forward to joining up with this line, and I'm hoping I don't end up with a page line. I don't think I will, I haven't ever before, but anything's possible, and it's okay if that happens, no big deal. But he's looking so good. I have big goals for this piece. I set goals in June and I didn't meet them, but anyway, I'm going to set some more. So I'm currently at 16% complete on the entire piece. I would like to reach 20% complete, so a fifth of the way through by the end of the year. Now that's another 30,000 stitches, which means I need to do about 6,000 a month. I am going to have at least one focus month. I'm going to stitch on this again in September. And then also, if I need to, also to reach the goal, try and work on it again a lot in December as well. I still want to finish this cat. That was the sort of the goal I set at the start of the year, finish this cat completely. Which I think if I can do the 30,000 stitches, I will finish him. Something else fun is that, I mean, I've looked at this pattern so many times and I kind of missed this little feature. This cat here is holding, can we see, hang on, oh yeah, I just lost my bearings there. He's holding a toy dinosaur. There is a classic scene in the show where he's playing with toy dinosaurs. And I don't know, was it started last year? I can't remember. But Dinosaur December. Lots of people stitch on dinosaur themed patterns in December. So if I can finish him, he's right up against that toy dinosaur. So that's the goal, get to the dinosaur in December. And the other neat thing, if I can do all of this, we'll see, would be that I would reach 150,000 stitches on the whole piece by the end of the year, which would be a really big milestone and a nice one to aim for to finish the year. So that's out. I'm going to be working on this one today. Wish me luck. My next project is a stitch along, and it's Witchy Stitcher's Supernatural stitch along. I'm stitching this on 32 count linen in Cocoa Dust by Handmade at number 12 Stitch Co. That is the whole piece. I still haven't finished that bottom frame. I'll get there. There's a character or a creature that is released about every week with a few weeks off here and there to catch up. So this week is a catch up week. I don't know if I'm going to stitch the frame though. I've got other things I want to do. But I have kept up. I can't actually remember where I was when I showed this last time. Anyway, I have all 4 of them. The latest, so we've got, it went the siren, the werewolf, the banshee, who is quite frightening, and the latest one was the changeling, which is pretty cute. I have a really methodical, systematic way of stitching these, and I did this for the Cryptid SAL too. I don't know why I'm not really like this for any of my other stitching. I just stitch wherever, in whatever order, but these ones, I don't know why, just anyway. So always start with the border. And then do because it's black, then do the text. Then if there's any outer sort of work, like the skull work, I'll get that done. I'll come in and there's 2 colours in the corner of each one. I'll get them done. So then the entire border and the name and any extra bits are done, and then I go in and do the creature like it's a reward. I don't know, does anyone else do them that way, approach them that way? Or is it just me? Anyway, love how this one's coming along. It's looking great. Looking forward to the next creature. My next project is my other stitch along this year. This project bag held my Time Traveller, but I've swapped it around because this is my Under the Sea by Durene Jones piece, and I figured that was pretty apt. It's one of the first bags that I made. This one, Under the Sea by Durene Jones, available through Lakeside Needlecraft. Stitching along with Witchy Stitchers and Emma X stitching, and trying to get one of the larger motifs done a month. So when I showed this last time, I was behind on my June block, which were the jellyfish. But I managed to get them completed. Sorry, khaki-handed today. There we go. So I did complete the jellyfish. I haven't done the back stitching though. I had a really nice catch up with Esther, Danish stitcher. Hi Esther. And she was sensible and she picked some block stitching where she could just pick one colour and just fill in. I was battling with the jellyfish tentacles. I have no idea why. Anyway, I did pretty well. I only made a few minor little counting errors, which no one will ever know, and I've worked out that it won't impact the bits down here. So really happy to get that done. It has got quite a lot of the E metallic thread in it, which is not fun, it's just slow going. Funny story, when I was chatting with Esther, it was evening here and it was morning in Denmark, and I was sitting here all rugged up with the heater on, it was cold. She's sitting there in short sleeves with the windows open, fresh air streaming in. And she said it's a lovely summer's day. And then we worked out it was pretty much the same temperature. It's about 13 or 14 degrees Celsius, which to me is cold. To her was just perfect. So I thought that was fun. I then went on to do July's block, and that is the Mermaid. Yeah, she looks a bit strange because she's not backstitched, but she's all done. So very happy to get her done. Also, she has more of the metallic thread in her. You can see. And I'm just using short strands, one strand of thread in the needle, and just doing every leg twice. It's slow going, does look good, but I will sub that out. If I come across another project with that kind of thread charted, I will sub it out for something else because it's not too much fun. There's only about 50 stitches left though. You can see the kind of lines there. That's in that thread too. They will end up as fish. But I just thought I'd do them while they're in the frame. So this is the piece all together so far. And this is on 32 count opal Murano in Caribbean Seas by Jodyri Designs. So August's block will be array. Excellent. Okay, my next project was not in my list for stitching on this year. I had put it away for the year. I started this last year on Witchy Stitcher's birthday. Happy birthday, Joe. And I thought it deserved some attention on its birthday this year. So I'm talking about Raven by Lorna Laine. It's Gecko Rouge again. And it's just so pretty. Those colours are just, oh, love them. Stitching it on 25 count lugana, 1/1 full cross. Now, when I came into this year, I'd done about 850 stitches and I was at 6.6%. And I got way more than one day's work, and I think it's going to stay out. There it is now. Isn't it pretty? So now it's at 50%, and I've put in another 5,500 stitches this month. I'll just come in a little bit closer. What are the colours? So what I've been doing, it's really nice to stitch because it's a combination of the block stitching, this dark colour of the raven, and then all the pretty colours around it. So I've been pulling out like a full 6-stranded length of this dark colour and just working my way through stitching 6 lengths because it's 1/1 that I'm using, 1 thread. And then when I've done the 6 in the blue and brought it down a bit, then I come over and I sort of take the coloured bits down. So it's block stitching and then not so blocky stitching. It's a nice combination. And there's about, I think there's about 6,000 stitches to go. I'd love to get this done this year. I think this one, I think I'll fully finish it off myself as a little like miniature wall hanging, like quilted wall hanging. Just think the orientation and the size of it lend it to that. And I've done a few of those finishes for as gifts, so I'm sort of comfortable with doing that. So that will be the plan. But I would love to finish it this year, but I have, you know, lots of things I'd like to get done. Okay, and then the last project that I've worked on this month, it's a new start, sort of an unexpected new start. Something I've wanted to start for a little while and just finally did. I feel like this is the Gecko Rouge show today. Anyway, this is a piece by Tom Fedro. It's another kit. He does really interesting use of colour in his pieces. He's got some that are really bright colours and some that are more muted. And so I am stitching Sly Fox. It's a little different to my normal style, but just really like those colours and this, yeah, it's really neat. So this one, a little bit different to normal. It's not on 25 count. I'm going for 18 count Aida again. I have struggled with that in the past, and I'm determined to make it work because I really like the final look of it with the nice full crosses. It's just that I'm used to stitching with 1 strand of thread, and with 2 it's just a different approach. So I'm just going to take it nice and slow. I've done about 600 stitches. It's hardly anything, and it's just like, it's not very interesting to look at. Anyway, that's my start. So I'm just taking it nice and slow and really enjoying it so far. Right, I'm back. The cutting down the tree turned into a chainsaw massacre out there. I think it's done now. Anyway, so that's all my stitching for the month. Plans, I'd like to keep going on Firefly in August. Keep up with my stitch alongs, maybe do another Hygge story. But also I want another finish. I've had a look at the projects I've been working on this year, and I think there's 2 that might be potential finishes for the year. The first one is John Clayton Collections Cricket Scene. I don't know if I can really finish this year or if I just really want it finished. From the 90s, my mum started it, I restarted it for her. I just kind of want it done. They would love to have it on their wall. She would appreciate the stitching. My dad's a former cricket umpire, and I think she probably bought this for him, like with him in mind all those years ago. So I'd really like to be able to gift it to them eventually. But I'm not going to work on this in August. I think I'll pull this out later in the year and see if we can get it as close to a finish as possible. But the other one that I am quite keen to finish are my animal stacks by Plum Street Samplers. So this is where it's at the moment. I'm doing four of them on the one piece. So I've done the cows and the pigs, currently doing the sheep, and I've got the goats to go. So sheep heap and goat load. So I don't know, do you think that's possible in August to get them done? I started this in 2019 when I started studying outbreak management at uni. So I'm a veterinarian, so outbreak management of large-scale animal disease outbreaks as opposed to human. If you haven't seen on the news recently, if you're in Australia, about the outbreak of foot and mouth disease in Indonesia, you've probably been living under a rock. It seems to be everywhere in the media right now. It's a disease of major concern. We do not want it in Australia. And it's just interesting that it affects all of the species that I'm stitching. So I already thought about finishing this one. Once I've done all four of them, charting some lettering around the edge of the kinds of diseases that were covered in my course, that, you know, I was being trained on sort of management of these major diseases. Foot and mouth disease is definitely one of them. What else can I put in there? Vesicular stomatitis, African swine fever, lumpy skin disease, there's a whole heap. There's also a little bee flying around here. I think was there a bee on another one? Yep, there's another bee down here. So we're also dealing with an incursion of a major bee pest called Varroa destructor. It's the first time it's been detected in Australia, and there's a emergency response going on right now. So I guess I potentially could include that in there too. So there's a little bit of nerdy insight into my professional life. But yeah, I'd really like to get these done. So again, I don't know if it's achievable. I don't think it's a huge amount of stitching. It's just one of those ones, again, you just need to like sit down and actually put the time into it. So we'll see. I'd definitely try and get the 2 blocks done, and then I'll still need to chart the words, and I hope I can make it look all right. So that is my main goal for August, to get this one done as much as possible. Okay. All right, I'm gonna have to end it here. The chainsaw is starting up again. So let's leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you again in another month. See ya.